Hello. Welcome back to Scene Abounds Live. We're joined back in the studio by the wonderful Karen Thrush, who's going to talk to us a little bit about how kinesiology is actually done. So, Karen, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
It is lovely to have you back in. I'm going to go jumping straight in there, right? So, for those people who missed the show that we've done with you before about what kinesiology is, can you just do me a favor, just recap what kinesiology actually is?
Okay, so kinesiology uses muscle testing on the arms and the legs to communicate with the body, to see what imbalances are in the body. And by balancing the imbalances, that will improve people's health. So it can help with any health condition. And the way to balance it can be lots of different elements. It can be stress that needs releasing. Could be vitamins or minerals are needed. Some foods might be causing the problem. So I do a bit of food testing, energy balancing, a bit of lymphatic massage, and holding points on the head to get the circulation working will all help to get the body back into balance.
So we've heard some examples of this as well, haven't we? Because you've been on with a guest. So if we take it from the beginning, so somebody comes to you for a problem, say they're getting terrible headaches, you will obviously start sort of testing the muscles in the head and so on. But how does it sort of start off with a consultation treatment?
So I get their health background, see what medication they're on, if they're under the doctor. And then we've got some red flag questions so that if they haven't been to a doctor, they need to go to a doctor, because I'm not in place of a doctor. It's complementary, so alongside, not alternative. So I think there is a place for doctors. And if people are on medication, any supplements that I recommend, I need to get them to check with a pharmacist or their GP that they can take the supplements alongside their medication. So it's important to know people's backgrounds before you start testing them and recommending things. So I get a history from them, and then a history of what they eat as well, so that I've got an idea of what foods I might need to test if it is a digestive problem. And obviously, whatever people come with, whatever problem, I always check their digestion is working first anyway, because whatever I give them for the problem that they've come for, they won't get the full benefits of if their digestion isn't working properly.
Yeah. So okay. So let's take me for example, right? I'm gonna put me in the spotlight a little bit on this, right? So I've got a rare degenerative condition called complex regional pain syndrome. Okay, and part of that is a breakdown of my digestion system. So I've got another, like a side condition called sensitive gastritis. So I have a lot kind of going on internally, right?
Yeah.
And I can probably guarantee that I've got a fair few imbalances going on. All right. Now, eventually, I am well aware that, eventually my sensory nerves are going to break down, my digestive system is going to break down, my internal organs are going to break down, and eventually my condition will be my demise. And I'm kind of cool with that. But how would something like kinesiology work for me? Or how could it potentially work for someone like me who's living with chronic condition?
Yeah. So as long as you could move your arms and legs for me to test without it being too painful. If it is, I'd use a surrogate for the muscles that were too painful for you to move, if I don't know how much pain you're in. So when someone first comes, I would check they were able to be tested. If not, I can use a surrogate. And to use a surrogate, it just has to be skin contact from the client and another person who can move their limbs easily. And then we break the contact to find out whose it is. So that's another story. But I would test the muscles linked to the brain first on anybody who came, because the brain obviously connects to all the other meridians and everything. So balancing people's muscle called the supraspinatus, which is linked to the central meridian that is linked to the brain energies, is what we always balance first. And then once that's fully balanced, we would then balance the ones that are linked to the energies going up the spine, because obviously the spine is really important.
So I mean, because mine caused me a great deal of stress, right? So how would something like kinesiology help with that level as well? I mean, obviously it's going to relieve a lot of the pain, but
So
can
what
it then
we look at if there's a supplement that would help you to be more relaxed. There could be a supplement to help your stress, could be a batch flower remedy to help you with the stress of it. And then by strengthening all the weak muscles, your body's health would lift. How much it would lift and improve depends on how severe what you've got is, but we could probably make it more manageable and easier. So I'd probably balance those first two energy circuits, the brain and the spinal ones, then go into the digestion, because there's a big gut-brain connection, isn't there, that everybody's talking about now. So getting the microbiome right in your gut would probably help as well. And see if there's inflammatory foods that we could maybe take out of your diet, or you might need some anti-inflammatory supplements.
Okay.
It's incredible because you look at the whole body and all the science around it, isn't it? So
and it could be there was two people who had the same condition who come to me, but they may have totally different supplements and things to balance it. So it's not like with this thing and you'll always give them the same thing.
Yeah, because different supplements, the same with different medication, works for different people, right? What type of conditions do you have you treated in the past? Other than, I know obviously you've worked with autism, ADHD, young people. What other conditions, like extreme conditions, have you worked with?
Fertility. I've helped people with fertility issues.
Wow.
So balancing hormones, prostate. I helped a guy who had high prostate levels, and we got that down. Digestion is probably the key thing that a lot of people come for, and then we find other things. Migraines is another one that I've helped people a lot, which can be quite easy. It's often wheat and sugar. If they take that out of their diet, often the migraines tend to go.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the small changes, isn't it? But you need to just know about what to do to be able to help.
Yeah, but
menopause and that sort of thing.
Menopause. I've helped quite a lot of menopause, and that's partly why I got into looking at the lymphatic system as well, because of the toxins in the body. When people are going through menopause, the hormones are getting balanced through the liver, and that's toxins in the body. And to keep that balanced, if any other toxins come into the body, it's harder for menopausal women to manage all those toxins. There's a lot of strain on the liver. So I help people to understand they need to look after their liver when they're going through menopause, because it's dealing with a lot already. So when people get the hot flushes and things like that, it's often because they're overdoing caffeine, alcohol or sugar, and the liver just can't cope with all of that, as well as what the body's going through. So I see what supplements will help menopausal women as well, and they don't always need the same ones.
Okay.
So I've got a few who come regularly to just get balanced and know what supplements they take, and a lot of them don't get any of the menopausal symptoms. They sleep fine, they don't get the hot flushes and the brain fog by getting regularly balanced.
He's looking at me now because I find that caffeine and alcohol massively affect me, because I'm obviously in that sort of phase at the moment, and cutting out the caffeine made me sleep through the night and stop the hot flushes. So it's incredible, isn't it?
They have not stopped the hot flushes. Let me tell you.
People say it's menopause, but it's not menopause. It's just your body cope with all of that pressure on the liver. So it's just doing it all in moderation, really.
So if somebody comes with you, you do the consultation, they have the treatment, and it's going to be very individual, obviously, how often they need the treatment. But I know some people have been to you, and sometimes they need to come every 4 weeks. Sometimes you say, no, actually, you can wait till 6 weeks. So you are constantly in tune with what's going on when you're testing the muscles, aren't you?
Yeah. So I would say initially people come monthly and then maybe 6 weekly. Depends what they've got going on in their lives as well. If they've got really stressful lives, because stress can have an impact on any health condition. So keeping on top of people's stress, I think, is one of the biggest things that I've learned, how the stress can impact our well-being more than I appreciated before I learned kinesiology.
And I think we all need to start learning to appreciate how much stress actually affects, also affects the lifespan of our lives and family life and everything else around it. So yeah, massive.
I think it's fantastic. We do have to end the show. Sorry, Karen. It just seems such a massive subject, and I almost feel guilty having to end the show. But we do have to. So, look, if you want to know more about what kinesiology is and how kinesiology can help you or your family, then I do recommend you getting in touch with Karen. So, Karen, how can they get hold of you?
My website is www.karensinfinitehealth.co.uk, and I've got a Facebook page, Karen's Infinite Health, and I'm on the Sino Bounce platform.
Fantastic. That is all we have time for today. So a massive, massive thank you to the wonderful Karen for coming on and talking to us a little bit about how kinesiology is done. And from the both of us, until next time, we'll speak to you soon. Take care. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.